You need to start with taking shape and form from the ether into the tangibility. And that starts internally first. And people try to do it externally. Like, if I get this goal, then I can pause and I can be like, oh, I can feel joy or happiness or freedom. Doesn't work that way. It's internal, then external.
You are listening to Amplify Your Success Podcast, episode 409. And today you're going to discover how to unlock your unique business consciousness IQ. You ready for this? Let's get started. Welcome to the Amplify Your Success Podcast. Get ready to ramp up your revenue, amplify your impact, and make your mark in the world. This is the show for experts, thought leaders, and service professionals who want to shatter their limits and achieve that next level. You're going to find out from other experts and influencers how they made it. Now, let's get amplified. Hi there, inspired entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's your host, Melanie Benson, Authority Amplifier to expert-based entrepreneurs. And today, I have an extraordinary guest who we're going to go woo today, or a little woo, but we need to unlock some clarity, some alignment, and potentially some energy that might be blocked that is playing out in how you see your business impact and growth. So, little disclosure, I've done some work with today's guest, and I've done a lot of stuff over the years. I mean, I have been doing all kinds of personal development for many, many years, and there was something about the work that this extraordinary being does that dropped me into such clarity and such alignment with my work. Anything that I had been maybe second guessing or doubting or overthinking just melted away, and I was replaced with immense clarity. So I'm really excited to share her with you today. And I'm a huge fan of having internal tools that help me make decisions, that help me feel confident, and really up my own process to navigate what oftentimes feels very complicated in the business world. So these are some amazing tools you're going to learn about today. Now, one of the other tools that I think is really helpful before you dig in is really learning how to put all the puzzle pieces together, from your mindset to the strategy, if you want to make a greater impact. And this is a part of what I call borrowing $1 million visibility. But to do that, you kind of got to get your part right. You got to get your clarity before you can borrow it. So if you head to melaniebenson.com/framework and download that complimentary resource, you're going to discover exactly how I put the puzzle pieces together with my clients to help them amplify the reach of their lighthouse message by borrowing other people's audiences. I'm excited to share this with you. This process has been pretty amazing for me over the years. So go download it if you don't have it yet, and then listen to today's episode. Welcome back, amplifiers. Fasten your seatbelts. Get your notepad ready. This is an extraordinary conversation that I cannot wait to share with you. You get to meet Jennifer Urezzio. Now, she is the dynamic force and founder behind Soul Language. This is a one-of-a-kind approach that melds deep spiritual insight with practical business acumen. And through her innovative framework, she empowers individuals and organizations to facilitate direct connection with their soul's essence, which ends up transforming their personal growth, aligning them with prosperity, with clarity, and it ends up resulting in aligned business strategies that perform better. Now, Jennifer leads a vibrant community of soul language facilitators, extending these impactful practices worldwide. She's a TEDx speaker, and she's also the host of the podcast Asked and Answered by Soul, which is ranking in the top 3% of podcasts worldwide. But the part that's near and dear to my heart is she's been part of my guide system. She's become one of my coaches, and I am so excited to share her with you today, because the work that we have done has not just been extraordinary and impactful, but it's actually, it's just lining me up in such a powerful way that I can't wait to share her with you. So Jennifer, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. I think I'm blushing, and I'm just so grateful for you, and grateful that you're in my life because I think you're an exceptional human being. And when exceptional human beings think I'm cool, that's really crazy to me. And, it makes my day really amazing. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, I mean, it's no secret to our listener base here, to the Amplify community, that I'm a fan of energy practices, spiritual practices. I am willing to put all of the tools in my toolbox. I've been using spiritual and energy practices for, man, close to maybe almost 40 years, 35 years, somewhere like that. And there's something really unique and profoundly impactful about what you're doing.
Thank you.
And so I say, let's just get into it.
Love
Let's
it.
first
First of all,
start. Yeah, go
uh,
ahead.
did you start all this when you were like
12.
2? Yeah.
Well, let's just say I may be older than I look, but I did start a lot of my personal development work very early on. I started it at 18.
Very
So,
lucky.
yeah.
You're
And
very lucky.
well, lucky. Yeah, so funny that I would not use that word. I think it was a how do I not derail my entire life coping mechanism, and then it became, oh, this actually is creating extraordinary opportunities for me to be a powerful human being that's not destructive based on my past. So, thank you for acknowledging that. And
Welcome.
also, I had a seed planted very early on. Not many people know this about me. I grew
Ooh,
up in what you might consider a very enriched spiritual community. And my mentor, my mom's mentor, was the same mentor to Bob Proctor and Mary Mana Morrissey and many other extraordinary consciousness and spiritual development people and personal development people in our field today. And so I had this seed planted really early on that I think just blossomed as an adult when I could really like tune into those tools and use them properly.
that is the coolest story I've ever heard.
I'm the queen of dropping cool stories,
I
random
mean,
stories out of nowhere.
that is really cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
I mean, I didn't start early. I started mid-30s and, divine timing and all of that, but, um, man, I wonder what I would be like in my 20s if I had these tools.
Mm. Right. Well, let me just say they didn't actually kick in till I was nearing my 40s, but they did kick in. And,
Hey.
we start when we're supposed to start,
Yeah,
right? The
agreed.
path unfolds and the tools are there when we ask the right questions and, we get there eventually. And eventually I met you, which is such a powerful opportunity. And you started to talk about your story. I don't normally do this, but I'm I don't know that I know the answer to how did you um, find this tool and make these tools, make this your work in the world.
Well, so I started off, going to school for photography, and then I realized I really love to eat. And then I went into marketing and PR, and I was working with this woman who's my best friend, still my best friend. And we had this client who was an internationally known coach. And at the time, I was going through intuitive coaching, intuitive, like really understanding how my intuition works. I was working with a woman who was working on my belief systems. And I spent 2 hours on the phone with this client coaching her about her relationship with her daughter. And then I hung up the phone and Erin went, "Did you just?" I was like, "Yeah, that's going to end really badly and I'm really sorry." And a month later, she fired us because I saw through the curtain. And she's like, "You don't know about me or my business." I did, but she couldn't deal with the vulnerability. And I said to Erin, "I'm going to go freelance in about 3 months." And 3 months comes and Erin's like, "You're going to go freelance tomorrow, right?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Until I totally forgot. She's like, "No, no, no. I made plans." She didn't make plans. So I started to go freelance and I was working with this woman called Beth Davis. She used to do hand analysis and she asked me to speak at her conference. She's like, "There's going to be a lot of speakers." This is a big theme in my life, actually, Melanie. Like, there's going to be a lot of people doing this thing. And then I'm the one only doing it. and I start the trend of other people doing it. It's kind of funny. But she's like, "Come, I'm doing it at like a an event and there's going to be other speakers and I love you to speak." And there wasn't, there was just me. And I got off the platform and people are like, "Can you tell me about my guides and teachers?" I was like, "Uh-huh." They're like, "Can you do this?" I was like, "Uh-huh." And I did a lot of sessions and I went home with clients, but I went home also with something more important. I had been asking really big questions like, why am I here? Why am I so angry? Where are my community members? And why do I care about that woman across the table and not the other woman that I don't care if I ever see her again? And I'm on a massage table and I'm covered in clay, red mud, and I'm asking these questions. And I hear through divine guidance, oh, that's soul language. And I go, what? And then I go to the woman, get me a pen. She's like, excuse me. I was like, please get me a pen. And it just started downloading, and before long, I had this paradigm called soul language. And I went back to that woman who I met at the conference, and we had spoke the same language. So we had exact situations with different details, and we really got the situation. So one of my soul languages is called teacher of integrity, and we had this conversation about people not focusing and when we were actually saying something. And I told this story about being in a fire circle and saying something and the people stopping where they were talking, looking at me, turning back and picking up the conversation literally where they left off, like I didn't say anything. And I was like, oh, wait, you understand how that feels? She's like, yeah. And that was the moment I was like, whoa, I'm on to something. And I started identifying people, and they always said the same thing. Are you in my head? Oh my God, can I accept that now? Oh my God, I really get this. And I now I have words to talk about it and to utilize that power to the fullest of potential. So that's my backstory.
Mm, what a awesome story. And you know what? One of the highlights of that story was is realizing we were destined to meet for 20 years because that's how long I've known Beth Davis.
That's how long I've known Beth Davis.
So
I
we've probably been dancing around each other for many years until today, or a few months ago when we met.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a small world, and as you're listening in and we're having this really funny reunion of sorts, one of the things that I think is so profoundly powerful is how you can actually be in the same spaces with people, and there becomes a moment when that dance that we're doing with people that we're, like, familiar with them or maybe don't even know them, but we're literally in the same spaces, and your paths merge, and
Okay, so now I have to
timing
ask the
is everything.
question. Did you go to her first ever event in Arizona?
Nope.
Okay, good. Because I was like, oh my God, that would have been too
How did I
freaky.
miss you?
Right.
No, I didn't, no, but I've known her that long. Yeah,
Love
we
that.
were in a similar, friend group. So, what formed from this amazing journey that you were on is your soul language, and one of the things that I know you do is help people, get clear on or identify their business consciousness IQ. Could you unpack that for us a little bit? What is it? Why do we need it?
Yeah. So when we're not acting consciously, we're not putting wholeness and completeness into things, it will create an energy leak. And think of it this way. Think of the business energy as a beautiful cup that you want to fill with the most amazing liquid, okay? If you're actually not conscious in certain areas, you're going to create little bitty pinpricks in that gorgeous glass. And the water's going to drain. And you're going to turn around and go, why am I not getting what I want? Why am I not getting clients? Why do when I talk people like do the glazed look? Those are all energy leaks. So the business consciousness quiz talks about which one of the four areas or gives you an indication which one of the four areas is your major energy leak. And there's money, your talents, your energy, or you're making more with things. And when you understand where your energy leak is, you can close that gap, put a little band-aid or tape, actually duct tape over that hole. And then the liquid, your goodness, allows to actually create something in your life and your business. And it becomes a way of actually winning at the game of your business because we're all just in this giant game. And it's how we use our energy in that game.
Yeah. It's so true. And, I want to talk more about energy in a minute because I think we're in an epidemic of people with systemic energy leaks, not realizing what's happening, and it's depleting their motivation. It's impacting their clarity. It's causing this doubt that festers and grows and amplifies. And so they're like scrambling to solve certain problems in their business from a place of depletion.
Not only depletion, and then they're going external for the solution, right?
Yes.
So if you have a money issue, right, and you're not bringing in revenue, more than likely people are going to go, oh my God, I need a sales coach. Look, sales coaches are great. But if you're not clearing up the money issue, that clear foundation, then you can have the salesperson from like, I don't know, divinity, and nothing is going to change in your business because you're still having those conversations on not enough or a money relationship that is rocky and feeling not enough and feeling as though, you don't trust money or you have a bad relationship with money or you're at war with it. So when you understand the foundation of your external problem, then you do the internal shifting, the transformation, and then you can take the external opportunity. But most of us go, okay, I got a problem. Let's hire a copy editor. Okay, I got a problem. Let's redesign the website. And none of that works unless you truly are realigning the internal energy that you use to create what you want to receive.
Yeah, and it's such a powerful process to, recognize that inner shifts can actually create external transformation, but we have to clean up the inside first, and
Yeah.
I definitely have been one of those people that I go to the outside first a lot of times, which
And
I
we're
think is a
taught that,
human thing.
right? We're taught that, right? So
Yeah.
I remember when Aaron, she had, he's like 19 now, but when Eric first went to preschool, she called me, she's like, there was nothing to Eric's folder today. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? She's like, well, each day they get a folder and there's nothing in Eric's folder because the teacher said he chose not to participate. I was like, we've been asking that kid since he's been out of the belly, what does he need? What does he want? What action? What does his internal being say? And he chose not to participate today because it didn't feel right. And we're not giving that a gold star. We should give that a gold star. Most people are putting their pain and programming into their business, and it will reflect that pain and programming rather than putting enoughness, consciousness, sustainable beliefs.
Mm.
And in order to co-create with the how, you need to actually you need to start with taking shape and form from the ether into the tangibility. And that starts internally first. And people try to do it externally. Like if I get this goal, then I can pause and I can be like, oh, I can feel joy or happiness or freedom. Doesn't work that way. It's internal, then external.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so many questions, wanting to explode in my brain, but I want to recap those energy leak types
Yep.
again because you went through them pretty fast,
Because
and
I'm
then
a
if you
warrior.
massive action fast,
Yeah.
but, if we could just recap them one more time, and then I wanna go a little deeper and, like, what are the signs that we may have one of those energy leaks?
Yeah. So let's start with the first one, which of course is money. All right. So some of the signs is that you discount yourself, you devalue yourself, right? Your clients are making more money than you are, meaning, oh my God, my clients are so succeeding. And I'm sitting over here going, oh my God, where are my clients, right? So you don't pay yourself. You're always kind of stealing from Peter to pay Paul, right? Or you feel like there's not enough always, right? Money's always that, oh my God, how much does that cost? And why I don't have that. And what am I worried about? And what about the tax? Like that is the cycle. If money is your kind of energy leak, all of that is happening. Right. And so one of the ways you want to solve that is really starting to create a new relationship with money. Couple things. Money doesn't have free will. It operates on your will. Meaning, if you're telling it it's not enough, it's going to go, great, not enough. So you just want to start very practical and go, okay, What is my main thought with money each day? And you just have to pause that thought just for a second and recreate a new one. And that should create a little shift. The second is really about how you feel about yourself and your talents. And that shows up. Great story. Great story I'm going to tell you. So I'm in a discovery session with someone and they're like, I'm like, oh, okay. So you're having this problem. You know who you can talk to? You can talk to Melanie, or you can talk to Susan or Mary, or what about John? And they're finally like, I don't think you understand. I'm asking you how I can work with you. And I went, oh. So when your talent is your energy leak, that comes up with you don't really know what your talent is, or you're undervaluing that, or you're like, I don't know really how to say what I do, or wait, that's a gift, and can't anyone do that? Right. And so to kind of shift that, you want to be really conscious about asking your soul some questions. What's my superpower? And how can I use it every day to receive for myself and then support others? And then every time you use that superpower, you want to just pause and thank yourself because you want to acknowledge with yourself that you're actually using that. The next one is really about your energy. And this happens when people are, at the end of the day, they're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Oh my God, feel everything that my clients feel or everything that the person in the grocery store feels. They feel tired, achy, exhausted. They have no energetic boundaries. And so here's my greatest tool for that. Melanie, do you want to play with me?
Sure. Not that
Okay.
I've ever experienced this energy leak ever. Always a
so
chronic issue for me.
so on a scale of 1 to 10 at the moment, 10 being woohoo, 1 being you want to eat cheese on your couch. That's what I do when I'm sad. Where are you?
I'm probably around a 5 or 6 today.
Okay, so take your left hand, put it on your right shoulder. Now tell me where you are.
Yeah, bumps up. Probably a little closer to an 8.
Right. So that means that you're participating in, you can take your hand off, in someone else's energy, right? So that's a really quick tool to use. And then you want to check that central energetic channel that goes from your tailbone to the top of your head. And you just want to ask your body, which we call divine intelligence, to align body and soul. Align your earth star with your heaven star, and it should click back in place. And that should also kind of let go of any of those energetic ties. So you want to
Mm.
keep noticing where you are on that scale. And the last one is my favorite because I'm a warrior, and that is making war with everything. And that comes up when you feel like you have to fight for what you want, what you need. You don't feel seen, you don't feel heard. These are your people, right? And the easiest way to do that is through an activation to shift that, which is divine intelligence. Even though I want to make war with whatever you want to make war with, I am willing and able to turn to a new source of power. And that gives that image of warrior inside of you something to actually focus on versus trying to get what you want through charging at that pattern or charging at that thing and really making things happen, because that's not going to change your business. It's just going to create more war internally and with your business.
I can imagine a lot of our impact-driven listeners today might have just heard themselves in that last one for sure, because I know when you're impact-driven comes from a place of pain, um, that warrior energy can often kick in. So that's really powerful. And I also just want to say, Jennifer's worked with me on several activations. And in case you're like, this is way too woo for me, or like, I don't know about this, I want to tell you, doing these activations every day, I think I'm getting into 6 weeks now, has profoundly changed my energy, profoundly changed my clarity. It's really like it's tapped me back into a deeper level of what I'm here to do. It's been very helpful. So
Thank you.
these work. You might want to have to listen to this episode several times and play it when you're finding yourself in one of those problem energy leak areas.
Yeah, and play with it. If I use the reason why we use divine intelligence is because we're using your body and that doesn't have free will. So it will put us exactly where we want to go. But play with the words, if I'm using a word that doesn't resonate with someone, come up with your own. So, it resonates mind, body, and spirit. Or email me and I'll come up with one for you.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And, you know, I want to just talk about blind spots for a minute. This has been a kind of a catchword that a lot of people are aware of. And yet, I think many times the solution or the answers are dormant in our blind spots. And so, if somebody's listening in today, and maybe they're like, "Whew, this is not for me," or they're like, "I don't know, is this one of my things? Like, do I have an energy leak?" How, what is the what is the sign when you're speaking with somebody that the solution or the answer is in their blind spot?
They're working their tools and they're like, I'm doing all the things and nothing's happening. I can't figure it out. They keep asking the same questions over and over again, and they don't like the answers. I'll raise my hand with that one, right? Um, they feel a little untethered and lost, right? They're like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I can't find my center. I can't find my groundedness. Um, Practical, really kind of just down and dirty, is that everything was going great, and all of a sudden, it's like everything you touch is like nothing works out, right? You've had one of those days where like you break a glass, you crash a car, blah, blah. Like those are one of the signs like, hey, you need to start to up level or break through something because your blind spot, your subconscious is running the show. Um, and you feel you notice yourself repeating the same words over and over and over again. So a couple years ago, I was texting a friend of mine, and I was in my mind, I was texting, I've tried. And every time I text, I tried, it came out, I'm tired. She called me, she goes, do you want to talk about how you're exhausted? I was like, what are you talking about? I'm a warrior. I could go, go, go. And then when she said, you sure you're not exhausted? My whole body went, yeah, I'm exhausted, right? So you're hitting that edge, you're hitting that kind of the last straw, are all signs that there's something really want to rise to the top, but your conscious mind is unaware of it, or you're afraid to look at it in a deeper way. And that's okay to be afraid, right? But I think people need to know that when we look at it, it's not, yeah, some parts are going to be painful and uncomfortable, but it's pain, meaning it rises up and it leaves. If you don't look at it, it's causing suffering, which is a low grade fever for your entire life. Like you're actually putting your business and your physical self and everything you want into jeopardy with suffering.
Mm, so powerful. We have a resource for you in a second. As you're listening in, hold tight. I got one more question for you on this side of the questions. You referred to being a warrior several times, and what I know, because I've been behind the curtain with you and I've done the work, is that we have some energies that are guides for us. But what does it mean to be a warrior, and how does somebody start to uncover what that driving force is in their business?
Yeah. So normally when I say I have warrior energy, people with warrior energy just nod their head. Like they're like, uh-huh. And if you're not nodding your head, you don't have warrior energy. But the unconscious part of warrior is you're loyal to a fault. You never leave a man down. You'll sacrifice your own wants and needs and desires for another. You have this problem with authority at parts because the people in charge seem to be nuts and you're like, what are you doing? Right? And there's like 10 other patterns of unconscious warrior. When you move that energy to consciousness, meaning you're using all of that strength as power versus force, you become an unstoppable freight train of goodness. So, one of the things that warrior energy, when conscious, is really good at, they go, I'd like to put my energy towards making $100,000 this year. And it goes, boop, because they're not using that energy to fight or to feel like they need to strive in order to receive what they want. And all that power is used for creation. So the universe keeps going, whoa, that's a lot of amps Jen's using to get what she wants. Let's just bring everything towards her. And it's really fascinating with female warriors that in a female body feeling feminine because there's another other layer to that. They're afraid to use their power or they're afraid to access that warrior because when it's come out, it's like off with their heads kind of feeling. And they've been berated for that. When I was in corporate America, I'd be like, can you pass that pen? And they're like, why are you so aggressive? And I'm like, I literally just asked for a pen. Like, what are you talking about? Um, but the conscious side of that is saying, "Boom," and people go, "Yeah, I totally agree with that." And it happens with Warner all the time, my boyfriend. I said to him, "Listen, in the 1930s or 40s, you had to go to Reno and stay for 3 months for a divorce." He's like, "I don't think that's right." I was like he goes, "But you said it so strongly that I'm gonna go check to see if it's right because your belief of it was in such conviction." And that's what a conscious warrior can do. They put their stake in the ground and things build up around that stake.
Mm. It's funny, I wouldn't necessarily describe myself as a warrior, but as you're, explaining that, I'm like, "Oh my god, I totally have warrior energy." So, that's interesting, I love that. It's just so interesting when we understand energetic principles that are conscious and unconscious and, maybe like how to fine tune our operating system to be in alignment with it rather than, like you were saying earlier, fighting it. Like, we're limitless. And we just have to start by recognizing what's really in the blind spot. So I know you have a quiz that's
Do.
a beautiful place for our listeners to start today.
Thank you. It's a
Explain, yeah, explain it.
So the quiz actually is a series of 10 or 12 questions where you'll answer a question and then you'll find out your dominant energy leak. And then there's definitely a tangible tool to take away with. And then you'll get a series of 3 or 4 emails that give you additional tangible tools. Because I hate when people go, oh, here's your problem. And then smell you later. Good luck. Right. So you're going to get a lot of content. The quiz is soullanguage.us/quiz, which is the new title, thanks to Melanie. Okay, genius, everyone. Genius, Melanie is. Um,
Thank you.
it takes about 3 minutes to take, and I think even having that awareness of where your energy leak is will allow you to shift it already because you're not walking around in autopilot. It gives you a chance to pause and make a better choice for yourself.
Love it. Soulbusiness.us/quiz. We will link that up in the show notes for you. And I gotta say, like, even if you're tiny curious, go jump on it. Go take the quiz. I'd be curious too if you're willing. Drop me a DM, or if you would prefer, drop Jennifer a DM and tell us, like, what did you discover with the quiz? It's
Yeah.
so interesting when I hear from you as a listener and recognize, like, what's resonating with you. What are you learning? What are you discovering? Like, I handpick every single person I bring onto the show because they've got something very powerful that I truly believe is going to help elevate you, amplify your reach in the world, amplify your income, help you become more of the impact driven, expert based business owner that's going to be tuned into your superpower and monetizing it. Like, that's my thing. That's what I want to do. So Jennifer, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
This is the time in the conversation where I like asking you a couple fun questions. And I'm very curious to see how you answer this because knowing you're got that warrior energy, I'm pretty sure you've done some bold things along the way to amplify the success of your business in the world. What would you say is the boldest thing you ever did?
I think the boldest thing I ever did was quitting a very lucrative job. And having clients, like no clients, and going, okay, I'm going to quit this thing and I'm going to have clients the next day, which luckily I did. The other boldest thing I did was I went on a pilgrimage to Mexico. I didn't know the people I was going. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know where we were. Like, I knew nothing about this trip. Literally, I got on a plane, I got off the plane, and then there were the people there. I knew nothing. And my mother was like freaking out. She's like, well, you need to call me when this was like, we didn't have cell phones, I think, back then. She's like, oh my God, you got to call me when I'm like, whatever. I touched down. They lost my luggage, and it was the most expansive trip in order to actually get me to ask for help. I think that was a bold thing that I did as well.
Mm. It's interesting what lines up in our lives to activate a more resourceful version of us. That's a great story. And I have a similar leave corporate, lucrative job, just followed the clue, although I didn't have clients right away. I had this interesting timing of 9/11 happening
Oh,
5 days after I gave my notice, so it's very interesting how it works, but I wouldn't change it for the world, like, it made me who I am. So, last question, as you look back from the beginning of this business, taking that leap of faith, my guess is there's several decisions you've made along the way, and is there one of them that you wish you might have made that decision or taken that action sooner because now you know how impactful that was gonna be to the work you're doing in the world?
yeah, I think that's a really great question. Um, yeah, I think the most leap that of or decision I could have made was to truly allow people to love me, right? Like that warrior energy is like, no, 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 don't feel safe being vulnerable. I'm in control. And when I really allowed people to start to love me, in order to create the impact that we want, we need to receive more than we give. We need to be willing to be profoundly loved. And I believed that I wasn't good enough for a very long time to experience that. And I would have loved to make the decision earlier, but I don't think I knew how. Right? I think a lot of things had to fall into place, and for order for me to accept, like, yeah, wait, I'm lovable. Like, it's a two-way street here. It's not just a one-way street.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's interesting. I think many of us in our own ways have tangled with that, not feeling, valuable or not feeling lovable or not feeling enough in some way, that imposter syndrome kicks in. And it's interesting the tiny, nuanced, energetic blocks we put in the way to help us work through that. And that's such a profound story you just shared.
Thank you.
And I think you're very lovable. And I see how much love you give. And it's so easy to exchange that with you. And, it's the work. So thank you for being somebody who's helping people witness these blind spots and have really, really powerful tools to elevate who they're being and how they're showing up.
Well, thank you for, you know, you, I admire you. Like when we first met, I was like, wow, Melanie's got it going on. I really admire her. So to be in your community and to know you is actually such a extreme privilege for me. So thank you.
Okay. Love fest
Love
complete
fest.
for the moment. Thank you for listening in today. I'd love to hear an aha, an insight, whatever emerged for you. I know Jennifer would too. Please feel free to drop into the DMs or comment wherever you're listening and let us know what was the big aha from today. And we'll see you next week with another episode. Thanks for tuning in today, Amplifier. We're going to keep this conversation going, and I want to hear from you how you're going to amplify your authority and make a greater impact. Before you go, please take a minute to give our show and our guests some love over on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Leave your full name, and I'll spotlight you and your authority on social media.